My relationship feels perfect, but my boyfriend has a female best friend he connects with on a level I don't share, and I can't tell if I'm sabotaging something good or ignoring a serious red flag. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to help me grow the channel. My boyfriend and I have been dating for about 6 months now. Our relationship with each other is amazing, and I can honestly say I haven't felt this way about anyone I've previously dated. A bit about him: he's sort of an introvert in that while he's definitely social, he doesn't talk too much, and when he does it's still very restrained, as in well paused. He is this way with everyone. Except this one friend of his. I'd sort of met her before because my best friend is a mutual friend of ours. My BF and I actually met through my best friend. My BF knows her because she has been his close friend for almost 5 years now. Apparently they were neighbors in their university dorm and they also had the same program. My boyfriend and her seem to share a kind of connection that I honestly can't say I do with him. He talks so much when she's present. His whole demeanor changes. The widest I've seen him smile has been when she's present. If there's a bunch of us in a room, the two of them will have these shared references and inside jokes. A couple of months back, my BF had fractured his foot and was bedridden for the most part. She came to give him food literally every day. You could actually see his face brighten when he learned she'd come. I sometimes feel that if you take away the sexual aspect of my relationship with him, it might not hold up against what he has with her. She broke up with her BF a few months back too, and it's gotten to the point where I'm actively trying to set her up with someone. The worst part about this is that she's likable. She's attractive, she has this dorky sort of humor that my BF loves. The food she was making for him was amazing. My BF is into science documentaries and I'm not, so we've never really watched them. She doesn't seem that into it either, but she watched it with him, kept asking him stuff, and he was so enthusiastic in his explanations. I've now started doing stuff he wants just to emulate that. What prompted me into coming here happened this weekend. She had come over and my BF wanted ice cream, so we went to a nearby creamery. The two of them were done with their orders because they already knew what they wanted, which incidentally happened to be the same flavor, while I like taking my time testing stuff. There was an old lady with what seemed like her granddaughter, who noticed that they had the same flavors, and said, "You two look great together." My BF corrected her, but God did that hurt. I just don't know what to do. Are they even doing anything wrong? What do I even complain to him about? Am I in over my head here? Relevant comments. Comment 1. I feel that some comments are really inconsiderate to the OP, because if you'd place yourself in the shoes of the OP, I am certain many would comment differently. I will not lie and say that I would have flares of insecurity as well if that would be my boyfriend. I can imagine seeing the inside banter between them that would make it seem like there is chemistry in the air. However, this could be very well something only your mind would focus on, while both your BF and this female friend don't think of anything but having a good friendly time, especially due to the amount of time they have known each other. If you are really uncomfortable with the situation, just bring it up in a calm manner with your BF. It is okay to ask reassurance sometimes, doesn't mean you are sabotaging the relationship. Communication is key. Comment 2. I'd feel insecure if I was in your position too. I think you just have to talk to him about how this makes you feel, or it's always going to drive you crazy. It doesn't sound like you suspect them of doing anything, so start by telling him that you believe he'd never cheat you and you're not accusing him of anything, but sometimes their interactions make you feel uncomfortable. From your perspective, bringing him food every day while he was injured is something that a spouse partner would do. Also tell him you notice that out of all of his friends, he only replies to her texts. Hopefully he understands where you're coming from. Make sure you're clear that you don't want to stop their friendship, because you feel like she's your friend too, but you'd appreciate it if he was more aware about how this makes you feel, because their friendship makes you feel like a third wheel. Good luck and keep us posted. Op. Thanks. Asking in this manner wouldn't come across as jealous. Comment 3. It's okay to feel a little jealous too. People assume that jealousy is the end all to all relationships, but at the end of the day, it's just an emotion, one which can be navigated as well. Maybe you could imply that you're envious of the close relationship they have and you would love to share more of his interests so that you could feel like a part of it too. Also, it's natural to be a little jealous here, as long as you don't cross any boundaries in their friendship and communicate openly. There's nothing wrong with feeling this way either. Comment 4. NGL, I couldn't handle that type of relationship dynamic with my SO. Some of you are super secure, and that's great, but for me the paranoia and insecurity would just be overwhelming. OP, I'm not going to give you any objective advice, because this is all about personal comfort, but knowing myself, this isn't something that I could get over regardless of reassurance from an SO. I'd personally rather date somebody that has close friendships with people of their same gender. Comment 5. I've been through such a situation and it haunted me for the duration of the relationship. I didn't understand why he couldn't have such a connection with me, and that hurt me the most. I wanted what they had. I now have my best friend in my relationship, because that's what I always wanted, and that's what hurt me in that other relationship, not them, he and her his BFF. Hope this gives some perspective. Op. This is very much how I feel. Like I have friends too, and my BF has friends besides her too, including other female friends, whom he's close to as well. What he seems to have with her is on some other level though. Maybe I'm not able to put it in words, which is why I'm apparently coming across as super insecure and jealous, or maybe they're right, I am being that way. But you seem to have gone through a similar thing, so it's not irrational then. Comment 6. Would you feel differently if she was his sister? Op. Of course. OP, in response to a long comment. I have male friends that I'm close with, and he's got female friends other than her that he's close to as well. He's never had a problem with mine, and I've never had a problem with them. I guess it came across in the post as if I have an issue with him having a female friend or even close friends in general, but that's not the case. I'm perfectly okay with that. His guy friends come over fairly regularly, and sometimes it'll be his entire squad, including the girls, and it's literally never been an issue. His bond with her seems to be something else though, even considering that they've been friends for 5 years or with E. Their compatibility almost seems to be seamless, they just seem to care about each other a lot. I know that's not a bad thing. What sucks is that he's actually the best guy I've been with. I really don't want to end this. I'd planned on being with him for the long run. Everything has been great except for this one thing, which really isn't his fault either. Comment 7. He's known her for nearly 5 years longer than he's known you. They're bound to have a connection. But he's not dating her, he's dating you. And while he's clearly had opportunities to date this girl, he doesn't see her that way, and it sounds like she doesn't see him that way either. If she's likable, I'd stop worrying about if and just try to be friends with her. Any sign of paranoia on your part here is just going to sabotage your relationship. Op. I have told myself this a lot, that he's known me for 6 months while he's had friends whom he's known much longer. But I guess what bothers me is how he's one kind of person to all his friends, many of whom he's known for about the same length as her, but a totally different person for her. Like for example, he's notorious for being terrible at answering texts to the point that it's a running joke. But he'll always reply to her as soon as he gets one. IDK, maybe I'm thinking too much into it. Comment 8. This sounds really difficult. I am in a similar situation, but I am your boyfriend. My best friend of 18 years is a dude. We are practically the same person. We don't have to even fully express an idea before the other has finished and is up and running with it. He's chronically ill and I have traveled to care for him months at a time. I have often referred to him as the male version of me and we share all the same interests. I have been with my husband for 20 years. We are so different from one another. We share some interests but not all. However, we share values and goals. I love my husband and the idea of being without makes me feel like I can't breathe. I don't want to be with my BFF. From the outside it doesn't really make a lot of sense to people who don't know me best. I can't really explain it to you. My husband is just home. He's been home since the first time I met him. I have to work harder at my relationship with him than with my BFF, but it's so worth it. My advice is to talk to your boyfriend about your insecurity, then trust him. He sounds like a great guy. OP about when the friend and her BF broke up. YA, she broke up with her BF around 3 to 4 months ago. Update, January 28, 2021. Thank you for the advice in the original post. I had decided to not bring it up with my BF. Some comments had made the compelling point that they hadn't really done anything wrong and I was letting my insecurities ruin a relationship. I didn't want to ruin what has been an amazing relationship just because I let my mind run amok. Since then I'd entered the relationship with a positive mindset. We spent all day yesterday together, doing stuff that each of us wanted to do. Today, I thought we would try out a new Chinese place which is near where he works. He's on WFH again. After the advice I'd received, I thought that new shared experiences is what would create the connection I wanted between the two of us. He told me that yeah, it's good, he tried it with her a few weeks ago, before the second lockdown had started, during lunch. They both work in the downtown area and I guess they're close enough to meet up for lunch. I know it's a small thing, and going for lunch together with a friend is with E, but it was just the fact that this was another shared experience lost that just got to me. I opened up to him about how I felt like an outsider when him and his friend were together, about how I couldn't relate to the stuff they talked about and all that. He was incredibly comforting. He apologized and said that he didn't realize it, that he should have figured that would be the case, and is going to make sure I don't feel that way. This is where I fucked up. I think I let my insecurities get the better of me here and I got greedy. I told him about how I felt she was doing stuff that I should be doing as his GF, that his relationship with her made me feel like a third wheel, and that sometimes I felt some boundaries were being crossed inadvertently. He said he was sorry about that, but she's a very important person in my life. We've been through a lot together in the last 5 years. He asked me why they couldn't be close as friends and what was wrong with her trying to help him out during a tough time, referring to the daily food stuff. I didn't have an answer to that. What he was saying just made sense. I told him that I wanted our relationship to mature further, that I felt I wasn't getting to be that important person in his life. He apologized and said he would make sure I didn't feel that way, that it was his fault, but she shouldn't be punished for our mistakes. At this point I started to cry for some reason. I can't explain it. Him putting himself at fault for everything is the last thing I wanted. He seemed so distraught during all of it, and I hate what this convo did to him. I'm so ashamed that I let my insecurities hurt us like this. He kept comforting me. We've said we're good, but there just seems to be this feeling in the air that I hate. I don't know if I just fucked it up, but I'm going to make sure it's not irreversible, and not let my insecurities get the better of me. Relevant comments. Comment 1. It's a good thing that you were open and honest about it though. Stop feeling bad and thinking you messed up. Otherwise this would have eaten away at you for so long, you could have ended up being resentful in the big picture. I don't think you're wrong for feeling the way you feel in any way. I would not be comfortable with the situation either because it's really not normal. And I know a lot of other people would agree. I don't really have much advice except that I feel bad for you that you're going through this and you keep beating yourself up over it. There is a real problem in your relationship and you keep directing it back at yourself. Saying the things about you being the one that is screwing up and your insecurities are the problem and you feeling like you have to fix things, when you should be exploring things together, as a team. I can't help but wonder if after the conversation of your boyfriend feels this much anguish over the direction of the relationship and wondering how to move forward. I'm sorry you're going through this. Comment 2. Just want to jump in here to further emphasize what other posts have said, you're not wrong for feeling the way you do. We all have our own boundaries, and sure, some people from your old post may feel like your BF and his friend aren't crossing a boundary, but that's for them. They aren't the ones in the relationship, you are. With that said, OP, you can then see if there's something you and your BF can agree on. If it were me, I'd think about what my hard boundaries are and why they're a boundary for me, that way I can explain to my BF clearly what I want out of all of this. You obviously care about his long-term relationship with his friend, so make it clear to him that you don't want to get in the way of his friendship but you also want to be comfortable in your own relationship with him. Lastly, it seems to me that he doesn't really understand how his friendship with her is causing you discomfort, so this may be something you'll have to revisit. To me, it's clear that you see his friend doing things or filling in roles in his life which you're supposed to have. If that's the case, then explain that. He asked you questions you couldn't answer, so perhaps, next time you talk, if you choose to have another talk with him which I advise, considering how you're feeling, think on these things deeply beforehand so that you can give him answers. Good luck and hugs to you. I've been through a similar situation so I know these are hard to deal with. Op. The friend thing could be in my head IDK. The best thing might be to ignore my thoughts about her. He promised to help me out in this whole situation as much as possible. I feel like the relationship is BW me and my BF and we should just work on and enjoy that. Op. By the time we reach a stage where we're getting married, our relationship would have filled whatever gaps there seem to be right now. And that's what I think me and him should be looking at going forward. Comment 3. Babe, do you really want to be in a relationship that has 3 people in it? I bet if guys break up, she's going to be the next person he dates. And that's fucked up. Op. That's how I was thinking about it before and I just think I was being OTT about it. The relationship is between me and him and that's all that matters. His friend shouldn't matter. I think it's best to ignore these kind of insecure thoughts and that's one thing I need to work on. My BFOTOH will be making sure I don't feel left out like he promised. OP, thank you for the perspective. We're definitely in a much better place since we talked even though at the time I thought it was a disaster lol. And I do find a lot of his hobbies interesting. I've slowly been learning chess and playing with him a lot, which is hard because he's on another level. He's been teaching me basketball, we've been sharing our music styles with each other etc. The documentaries were one thing that I hadn't tried with him. They were 2 hours long, and now 4 started doing that too. I just wanted to say this because a fair number of comments, not you, have been telling me I'm not putting enough effort in the relationship based on that one thing alone. And of course, I never wanted to ostracize her. I'm sorry if it came across that way. Update 2, March 3rd, 2021. I'd been feeling a bit resentful about the advice at the time since I thought my convo with him had hurt our relationship but it had honestly proven to be a windfall for it. He told me he was glad that I'd talked to him and he didn't know before if I was serious about us, but he did now. We'd been creating a lot of us time, and he'd been going the extra mile for me since. We even went to a cottage for the entire Valentine's weekend. I wasn't feeling left out anymore and felt our relationship was so much more secure, so I'd really come to be grateful for the advice here. For the past week, I felt like something was bothering him, but he kept saying it was nothing. I had noticed a few things though. He just seemed a bit uncomfortable sometimes, especially when he was on his phone. I wanted to give him space to tell me about it when he felt like he should, because I know he prefers that. He also goes to her place around twice a week, but now he was insisting that I come along too and once when I initially said I wasn't up for it, he started trying to convince one of his best friends who lives close by. She also hadn't come over all week. Like I had said before, I never wanted to ruin a friendship that means a lot to him, so I did think that maybe that's what had happened but I didn't think too much about. I also hadn't made the connection between this and my BF feeling bothered. Yesterday, I asked him again what was bothering him and that I just wanted to help him. He told me that he had thought that he shouldn't tell this to anyone, but he'd thought about it a bit more and concluded that he'd want to know if he was in my position, that she had told him a week ago when they were just chilling that she used to have feelings for him and that's what made her feel wrong in continuing her previous relationship, but that she was happy for him and us now and that it was in the past. I felt sick in the stomach when I heard this. I know it's in the past, that the fact that she felt strongly enough about him that it affected her relationship bothers me so much. It sort of got heated between us. I told him how I thought it was super messed up that she said that, and am I just supposed to believe that her feelings turned off like a switch? He said he understood, but that she would never have said it if she hadn't gotten over it, and that she never acted on it. I was still so angry at this whole thing, and I was also in a way angry at her, because our relationship was finally in such an amazing place. We kept arguing for a bit, and he said that she'd also been feeling terrible about it. He also showed me a couple of texts he'd gotten from her. She was asking him if they were still friends, that she'd opened up to him because she just felt like she could tell him anything, and that she'd been feeling as if she'd ruined their friendship and she didn't want that to happen, and that it was in the past, and my BF was telling her that it was with E and apologized for acting weird. I know my boyfriend is trying to look at from a compassionate perspective, and the text did make me feel a bit sorry for her, but just the fact that while we were dating, she was into him while in our room just upsets me. Also, our relationship has been growing so strong and I feel like I should treat this thing as a minor nuisance, but I can't stop thinking about it. I know in my last post a lot of comments and some messages I had gotten in my inbox had told me that I was being crazy and insecure, and some even said I should seek therapy, but isn't this a vindication of how I was feeling? I understand that people can't control who they develop feelings for, and true, she hasn't acted on it, but how do I get over the feeling of just wanting her out of our lives? Am I even wrong in thinking this way anymore? Relevant comments. Comment 1. I told him how I thought it was super messed up that she said that, and am I just supposed to believe that her feelings turned off like a switch? He said he understood, but that she would never have said it if she hadn't gotten over it, and that she never acted on it. That's very generous of him, but she did act on it every time she did something you felt was over the line and into girlfriend territory. Just because she didn't try to make out with him doesn't mean she didn't act on it. Those daily meals. Those documentaries she wasn't into but watched anyway. I'm sure there are other things that made you want to ask who the girlfriend is. You guys had to have a come Jesus conversation about it, right? She probably told him to test the waters and see if she should be acting on it. If he had given her a hint of interest, do you think her feelings would have stayed in the past? It's a good thing that you were open and honest about it though. Stop feeling bad and thinking you messed up. Otherwise this would have eaten away at you for so long, you could have ended up being resentful in the big picture. I don't think you're wrong for feeling the way you feel in any way. I would not be comfortable with the situation either, because it's really not normal. And I know a lot of other people would agree. I don't really have much advice except that I feel bad for you that you're going through this and you keep beating yourself up over it. There is a real problem in your relationship and you keep directing it back at yourself. Saying the things about you being the one that is screwing up and your insecurities are the problem, and you feeling like you have to fix things, when you should be exploring things together, as a team. I can't help but wonder if after the conversation of your boyfriend feels this much anguish over the direction of the relationship and wondering how to move forward. I'm sorry you're going through this. Thank you. You're so right, all that stuff that I chalked up to her having a connection with him, and that other people in my previous posts had just chalked up to her having known my BF for a long time, could have been her acting on her feelings, and I'll be honest, that thought makes me sick. Comment 2. I read through your posts. Your BF honestly sounds like a great guy and has put in the effort to grow and develop your connect. So the question is, do you trust him? Because her and her intentions are irrelevant here. If he's worth it and the relationship is worth it, relax and trust him to be the man he's already shown you he is. I do trust him, but it still makes me uncomfortable. Comment 3. I agree that she should not have told him about her past feelings. If she really wanted to move on, she wouldn't need him to know. I understand your frustration with her, but please don't be mad at your boyfriend. So far he hasn't done anything to make you distrust him, and he told you about what she said when he didn't know if he should. Don't be mad at him for telling you about the situation, because that might make it harder for him to be open with you in the future. Regardless, it sounds like he is trying to progress the relationship with you and not be alone with her. Trust him. Thank you for the comment. I'm not mad at him, and I trust him completely. I'm just frustrated at this entire thing, especially the timing of it, precisely because our relationship has been in such an amazing place of late. Comment 4. Your boyfriend sounds like an amazing guy. As for the friend confessing, I don't blame her at all. My best friend is a guy. I love him very much as a friend and have a similar relationship to what your BF has with her. She wanted to be honest with him as a friend. To me, she didn't try anything. Those meals. Documentaries. Maybe she did have feelings for him then. But at least she came clean to him. To move forward on her own. Maybe it's seen as selfish, but I get it. But at least she was honest with him. Do you trust him? What more do you want him to do? Would you rather him hide the truth from you? Has he given you cause to suspect him? What do you want him to do from here? You can only work on yourself and continue to trust him. Maybe talking to her yourself would give you peace of mind. Discussing boundaries. Honestly, I would be jealous too if I were in your position, but just know that your boyfriend is with you for a reason. And not her. Take care. Op. My BF and I had a conversation over this. I posted in my final update, and while it wasn't what I would have ideally wanted, I'm just going to continue to trust him, and not spare a second thought to her, harsh as that may sound, and just ensure our relationship goes from strength to strength. Update 3, March 7th, 2021. After my convo with my boyfriend when he told me about how his GF used to feel and how he'd never felt anything towards her, I told myself that now that I knew he didn't feel that way, this wouldn't bother me. But it did, to the point where I was actively harboring negative feelings for her in my head. A couple of Redditors had given me the advice that maybe have one last talk in a calm manner, so I did that yesterday when we both were in a good mood with the intention of this being the last time I ever talked about her. I started off with telling him how I loved him and that our relationship had become so strong and that we were a team, so I didn't know why he felt he had to be uncomfortable alone rather than confide in me. He said that he loved me too, and that when his friend had shared her past feelings with him, he felt that she thought it was only meant for him, which is why he was conflicted, but that I was right and that our relationship was strong enough that others should know that if it's something that indirectly affects our relationship, we would be telling each other about it. I then opened up to him about how I felt so weird about the fact that she decided to put her feelings out there for him, that what if she still felt the same way, and that the fact that there was a time when the three of us were in a room and from her perspective the situation would be improved if I wasn't there bothered me so much. He told me that she'd sworn that her feelings were in the past, that they were both super high at the time and she'd also had a few drinks, so this wasn't a calculated move on her part. That she'd never ever made a pass at him, and that she probably felt she could trust him to not feel weird when she said that, and that if he acted cold towards her now, he'd be punishing her for being forthright. He said that he loved me and I was his main priority, and he wanted to be with me for good. I said I felt the same way. That if I felt so uncomfortable about it, he'd do whatever I wanted to feel comfortable, but if I could just give it another thought and that I had no reason to be bothered. That if I trusted him, then there were no possible chain of events that could hurt our relationship. That she was one of his 4 best friends whom he trusted with everything and who'd been with him through everything in the past, that all he wanted was for me to just look at it once more but he'd do whatever he could to comfort me. I did think about it in that moment and decided that okay, I guess what he was saying did make sense. There is a chance that I'm wrong though I don't think I am, but I trusted him and didn't want this to be a thorn in our relationship. So I said, okay, but she had to maintain some boundaries until I came to terms with it. He agreed. We agreed that she shouldn't get to be alone with him excessively until I'm okay with it, that I would always be the first port of call for him, and he said that if at any point I felt lines were being crossed he would reevaluate. It was an incredibly uncomfortable convo for both of us and I hated every second of it, but I feel it had to be done. I'm done with this chapter and don't want to take her name between us again. I'm thankful to all the people who gave me advice and my relationship with my BF has gone from strength to strength. Thanks, and I hope and believe that I will never have to post here again. Relevant comments. Comment 1. What is he talking about? He already led the relationship down a path with this friendship that hurt your relationship. Also, the only reason she would trust him not to feel weird is if she thought he reciprocated her feelings. This really isn't about what you want him to do but about what he's willing to do proactively. In this case, he wants you to grant him another pass with this friend. Only a month after telling him you were sick of her shit. He seems more concerned with the friend's feelings than he does with yours, so I don't think that has actually occurred to him. God forbid the friend should actually suffer the consequences of her actions. I genuinely would love to know the why he thinks she should have trusted him not to be weird after that confession. Why? It would be perfectly normal for a confession like that to completely alter the dynamic of the friendship. So why has he convinced himself that all this situation needs is your trust? She's the one who has crossed the boundaries, but you are the one who is being asked concede. Why is he so comfortable with moving past this? Has he at the very least apologized for putting you through this? Op. Yes, he did. He said he was so sorry for how his behavior with his friend had been making me feel uncomfortable and upset, and that he'd enforce the boundaries that we had just agreed to, so I could feel comfortable with her, although I don't know if I can ever reach a stage where I'm comfortable with her for a while. OP, in response to a comment about whether the friend apologized and if the friend was a factor in ARP's BF and his ex breaking up. In the texts that he showed where she was expressing remorse for her confession, she did say that she was happy for us and would never want to jeopardize our relationship, but nothing about me specifically, I guess. I don't care for an apology right now. I never want to discuss her again in our relationship. When my BF and I had our convo about how I felt that sometimes I wasn't as close to him as she was emotionally, a month or so ago, he did follow it up by going the extra mile for me, and making sure I felt like I was the most important person in his life. Which is why I can't see why he would renege on the boundaries we set in this convo, and the fact that he would make adjustments for any discomfort I feel. I believe their relationship ended because the distance and constant commute just took its toll, even though from what he said the two of them tried their best to make it work at the time. Update 4, December 8, 2021. This is the most pain I've ever been in. I thought we were good. He told me he'd distance himself from his friend and kept true to it this entire time. He reached out to her because of a death in her family, and even I said, why you should do that. This was less than 2 months ago. Last night I was told he had to give a relationship with her a chance. Everything sucks. Relevant comments. Comment 1. I'm so sorry you were a second choice to him all along. You deserve better than that. Please do not accept him back when his thing with a friend doesn't work out. Comment 2. DW Karma will eat his ass up when she dumps him and he feels the pain you feel. I promise you what comes around goes around, it's inevitable. Comment 3. I just read all your posts, I'm so sorry you're going through all this. That other girl had no right to mention her past feelings to him. It was unfair to you and your relationship. She mentioned them because she wanted to have your BF be the one to do something, so she didn't look like it was all her idea. The fact that your BF played along with it and has now actually told you he wants to try something with her is cold and heartless. You are a strong individual, and I know this may hurt now, but don't you dare let it consume you. If he comes to you to try and apologize or talk, or even try and get back with you, don't accept shit. He's just shown you his priorities and what type of selfish people he and this girl are. Block them both and cut them out of your life, and you focus on yourself and finding someone who will choose you. Keep your head up. Op. Thank you so much. I just don't understand. Everything had worked out. We were in such a good place. I'm really trying to move ahead. Thank you. Op. Thank you so much for this. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I've really been trying to move past this. I can't right now because it came out of nowhere, but I'm just trying to see it through. It's been incredibly confusing. We'd been so good, I thought we were going all the way. I'm just trying to go through time hour by hour. Thank you for the kind words. January 27th, 2026. I swore I'd never use this account again, but I need a place to be pathetic. It's so stupid that I care about this, but I can't get past how completely unfair the world is. Seriously, karma is BS. We tell ourselves to be happy. The people who hurt you win in life. They go on to get married and start families, the kind of family that you had discussed with them and planned names for and thought about family pets. For years ago, my boyfriend, whom I'd been dating for almost 2 years, had talked about marriage with, a family with, decided he need to try with his best friend and see where it goes. After I had brought up with him how their closeness made me uncomfortable. On Reddit's advice, by the way. I even think it was a mistake bringing it up. I resent all those who told me it needed to be solved. I was happy with the way things were. Instead, I basically told him, hey, your best friend's better for you than I am. Insane advice. I was with a mutual friend of ours yesterday and we were discussing what to gift to one of our friends for her baby shower. I was like, it's my first baby shower, and she was like, she's only been to my ex and his wife's name before this one. I know she didn't mean it, she's never slipped up before, she apologized, told me to forget it. But I didn't even know they'd gotten married, let alone had a baby. I know I was stupid and hurting myself, but I wanted to. I unblocked both of them from everywhere. He didn't have much, but hers was my personal hell. They have a 4-month-old baby girl. Adorable. They got married in 2024. I went through all the pictures. Them smiling and laughing like a perfect family, dad, mom, baby. No more having to break up with guys because they do the bare minimum in the relationship. No more having to go through the hell that are dating apps, hoping you find someone halfway decent. Nope, they found each other. Karma doesn't exist. God isn't real. Some people are destined to live their happiest life over the corpse of the one you think you're going to have. Relevant comments. Comment 1. You got dumped. It happens. Put on your big girl pants and move on. It appears he has moved on, to a happy marriage and now a baby. Be happy for him, not resentful. Op. I did move on. It doesn't make it hurt any less. Comment 2. I know you're hurting ATM and what you've been through is so fixed up. I know it's so easy to give up and say fuck love and fuck it all, but baby girl, I promise you that your day will come. God is going to place a man in your life who outshines your ex and that chick by a million, who makes you look back at him and ask yourself, who WTF was I even thinking? Time heals all wounds and you will get through this and grow and learn, and you'll be prepared when this man comes into your life and sweeps you off your feet. Love comes when you least expect it, and stop looking, so be patient. Your fairy tale is coming. Light skin tone emoji modifier. Comment 3. I understand it must be extremely painful. You were suspicious of him and his girl best friend and your suspicions turned out to be right. That sucks and is heartbreaking. However, there's no point in wishing you never brought it up. His feelings were there regardless if you mentioned it or not. Would you have preferred you married him, only for him to then cheat on you and dump you for her, leaving you with nothing but a messy divorce? What you did wasn't wrong. What he did wasn't wrong. He found someone who was a better match for him that was hiding in plain sight, and he did the right thing by being upfront about it and ending things with you before perusing her. However, if you're still this hung up on him 5 years later, I would suggest therapy. You're still pining after him when you've been broken up for more than double the time that you were together. What he does with his life is none of your concern now, you should just focus on yourself.